Now, is this going to be a pop type music or a street music?
Welcome back, everybody. If you're like me and you hate throwing a bunch of plants in the trash every time you trim your tank, I'm going to show you how I'm going to attempt to get these potted and save them in the little nursery tank. As you can see, it's pretty overgrown. My Ludwigia repens right here is growing like crazy. These stems, this one's about a foot long, and you can see it's shooting roots out. Everywhere the leaves are sprouting out of the stem, it's also shooting roots out. And that means it's getting nutrients from the column, and I'm pretty sure I can turn all of those into individual plants. But I'm going to get this tank all trimmed, and I'll get it set up to show you guys how I'm going to pot all the trimmings. Everything's trimmed out. This is always a little sad for me because I love when it's overgrown because it just looks so cool and it looks so natural and the fish love it, but it grows back quick. And also when it's overgrown, it just blocks too much of the light. Got all the stems trimmed down. I got the AR Mini trimmed. I got a bunch of the Glossostigma out of there, which most of it I pulled out by hand. So in these Tupperwares, I have the AR Mini, the Ludwigia repens, the Glossostigma, and Rotala Atra. Now in these Tupperwares, this is tank water, so there should be some fertilizer like that was in the water column still in those, keeping them alive. And welcome to my kitchen. This one's going to be kind of quick. It's pretty late at night. My wife's in bed, kids are in bed, and here I am stuck in this tiny little corner of my kitchen. Got my whole tank trimmed, and I'm tired of wasting plants and throwing them away. So I got some rock wool plugs. Oop, got these little baskets. I'm also going, like I said, quick. This is all going to be one take like that. That might get edited out. Who knows? Guys, rock wool plugs. Got these little basket pots and got this nano little tank set up. I got some beautiful AR Mini that was trimmed out. I got this Ludwigia repens. That is, the leaves are beautiful, like purple underneath. I don't know if it's my light. They don't really turn red until they're at the very top of the water. It's a shallow tank. But anyway, I also have some Glossostigma, which this stuff grows like a weed. It grows crazy. And I'm going to try to maybe roll up like a whole, maybe call that a ribbon. I'll roll that up and plant it into one pot, each one. As far as the AR Mini, I'm going to do probably one per pot. This one's not the best, but like look at this guy. Beautiful stem. Has roots coming out of it. I try to trim them all above the roots to make sure that they will grow. Glossostigma will have no problem with that. And then I have some Rotala Atra, or Rotala Hara. But some nice stems, same thing. I'll probably put 5 in each pot. And this is just a test. I don't know if this is gonna work. I kind of seeded this tank with a sponge from my pre-filter from the Owasi Biomaster. Squeeze it in here, and that's why there's some mulm. I got a tiny little sponge filter going in here just for some water movement. And I have this really cheap Nicru light that was doing really good when this nano tank was set up for my betta fish. Let me show you what I'm going to do. I'll get a close-up shot right here. Got a handy-dandy razor blade so I can cut these out. This is going to be a big mess. And then obviously I don't advise cutting towards your fingers with a razor blade. I'm going to split these. I'm going to split it open, put the root in there, close it up, put it in a pot, drop it in. Also what I did, I saw somebody else do this on YouTube. I don't really remember who, but it seemed like a great idea. Instead of putting soil and fertilizer and stuff in the tanks, it's just for plants. I mean, maybe eventually I'll throw a shrimp or a snail in there, but I got some Seachem Flourish tabs, and what I saw somebody else do is they crushed them up. So I crushed it up into a powder. And then, so I'll sprinkle some of that in here with the root pot, drop it in. Let me get you a close-up look over here and we'll get started. So right now I'll kind of do one of each plant maybe to show you guys what I plan on doing. And then I'll speed it up, you know, so this video is not 2 hours long of me putting plants in pots. I don't think these are going to fit very well. They're a little tight. So I'm going to trim them down and taper them. Hope you guys can see this well. Going quick. It's late, trying to be quiet. Hopefully this doesn't turn into an ASMR video. So I just cut the corners down, give them a little taper. There, yeah, I could shove that in there a lot better now. Uh-oh. Maybe I should have tried this off camera first. So this one's kind of tore up, but that's okay because once they get wet, it'll swell up in there. It'll be fine. So let me do, this one's kind of big. Here we go. Here's a nice little AR mini. You want to make sure these roots are all going down. I know there's not much. Like I said, this is a test, an experiment. I'm honestly not even sure if this is going to work. So we're going to learn together. I'm just tired of trimming my plants every other week and just throwing away, more money than I originally spent even building this thing. So I got a sprinkle of that the flourish tab. Not going to put a lot. Just a nice little sprinkle like that. That might even be too much. You're supposed to put this stuff in your tank about 6 inches apart, so. And I'm gonna put this, hopefully that's in the shot. The stem is about 3/4 of the way down with the roots sticking out the bottom. Actually, let me pull that up a little higher because that doesn't make sense. I don't have any soil. All the nutrients are gonna be right in here in this powder. I'm gonna shove that in there. Just like that. I'm gonna drop this in my tank. I'm sure you guys would want to see that. That might be interesting to see. See that? It's probably gonna float at first. Nope. And down she goes. And I'm pretty much just gonna fit as much in here as I can. I'm gonna call this my little nursery tank. So that's how I'm doing that plant. I don't know if you can even see. Yeah, that looks okay. That's how the AR mini is gonna go. Cut another one of these out. And if you're wondering, I got all of this on Amazon, extremely cheap. I have no affiliates or whatever, I'm nobody. I'm just doing this as a hobby. I'm honestly not even gonna take the time to put the links and all that because to be honest, it's just not really worth my time. But everything was on Amazon. 120 of these things was about $9 or $10. And I think it's 50 of these little baskets I got was it's also somewhere around $10. So you saw that AR mini. Let's get some of the Sea Chem Flourish in here. Again, just a little bit. I'm probably doing too much. And let's try this Ludwigia repens, which these, I don't really want it that long in there. You can see I have roots right here and down here, so I'm going to split this into two. And like I said, I'm going to put probably, have them about the same length. Probably put 5 of these in a pot. In case maybe I'll try to trade them to my local fish store for some store credit, or who knows, Facebook Marketplace, maybe I'll sell these things. And if I do end up selling them, I will let YouTube know and I'll sell them extremely cheap, probably maybe $1 a stem. And, obviously you'll have to pay the shipping. I'm not looking to really make any money on this. So right there, that's nice because it's got the roots growing. So right here I got 5 stems. Let's make sure all the roots are going down. 5 stems of Ludwigia repens. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to stick it down in there to where it's about halfway. The roots do have a chance to grow out if they want. Pinch that guy closed. Shove it in this here little basket. Don't know if this is going to work. Kind of just testing, playing with things, trying to figure out a way to stop throwing all these plants away. It's so much money wasted. So that doesn't look really pretty right now. We'll give that a couple days, a couple weeks. I'll see how this, takes off or doesn't. And if I find this is a healthy way to do this, if I find maybe these do turn out to be pots of plants that somebody else could use, I'll try to figure out a way to sell them. Facebook Marketplace, or maybe message me on here, or you can't message me on YouTube, but drop a comment. Hey, I could use some of those plants and could figure something out. So I'm gonna get 5 stems of the Rotella atra. Now these, at least mine, don't really they didn't really sprout any roots coming off the stems like the Ludwigia repens does. I have a really hard time saying that right now for some reason. Ludwigia repens. All of mine seem to get their nutrients from the water column, which is why they sprout roots coming off of the stems above the soil. That's where my Rotella atra doesn't really do that for some reason. Drop that guy in there. See, and as it soaks up, that actually looks really beautiful. I actually like how this looks. But I got one more to do, the glossostigma, which I kind of have an idea for that. What I'm going to do, because the way they grow, the way the glossostigma grows, look at that, I'm getting a little quicker already, getting more comfortable. Split that. Oop, get off me. Drop some of that in there, very, very little. This stuff is pretty potent. Another thing I'm curious about is all of these plants came from my high-tech tank with CO2, my dose fertilizer. So now they're going to a low-tech tank with no CO2, very low-tech light. So I'm kind of curious how this is going to play out. But see how these grow in like this ribbon? Like this is one long runner, and there's roots shooting down the whole thing. So I'm going to kind of twirl that up to make it one plant. And if you were to try to sell this stuff, or you're looking to get glossostigma, this would be a good amount right here, because this stuff grows and spreads like crazy. I started with one in vitro cup of this from Tropica. All these plants are Tropica in vitro cups. And I started with one pot of that, and it is very capable of taking over your tank. And funny thing is, a little clip I showed, I'll show it again right here actually. This stuff, oh, this one's having a hard time sinking. It can grow like an Anubias does. It can, or a floating plant. It was growing on top of my dwarf hairgrass, runners on top of it with the roots going down. It wasn't even touching the soil, and it was still growing and running like crazy. So that's each one of those plants. Let me get the rest of these done, show you how this looks. Here's the final result. Came out a little better than I expected, actually. It was a little easier to do than I thought. And this is just a 4-gallon tank. And I ended up fitting 6 of the AR Mini, 6 Rotella atra, 3 glossostigma, and 3 Rotella repens, or I'm sorry, Ludwigia repens, which surprisingly underneath this very cheap light, they look pretty nice. I'm gonna let this run for probably a week. It's not staying here on my counter. I have a spot on an empty bookshelf I'm gonna be putting this. This is about the amount of plants that I throw away, you know, monthly, if not more, besides the AR Mini. The AR Mini is a pretty slow grower. This is from one pot though, one pot of AR Mini about 4 months ago from Tropica, turned into this, and now 6 pots, plus the whole bunch, this probably equal amount still in my tank. So that's it. Hope you found this video interesting. See how easy it is to kind of save some plants and pot them. Out of the Seachem Flourish tabs, I crushed up 2 whole tabs, and I still have a lot left. I put very, very little in each. Don't want too much nutrients, don't want algae to start growing in here. Hopefully the sponge filter has enough flow so it's not just stagnant water. Another thing I forgot to mention was these baskets that I got on Amazon. These are called the 2-inch. So these are 2-inch baskets, and these rock wool plugs were labeled as 1.6 inch. They're just generic. I think these were Vivi-Sun, which you've probably, if you look on Amazon for fish tank aquarium products, I'm sure you've come across Vivi-Sun. These baskets, I don't even know what they were. They're made in China. Grow Near 50-pack 2-inch garden slotted mesh net. This 50-pack was around 10 bucks, 120. These rock wools was around 10 bucks. This light is a very cheap night crew light. It was $15 on Amazon. Surprisingly, the Ludwigia and the Rotella Atra were growing pretty decent under it. And when this tank was set up for the betta fish and shrimp, the little nano jungle I once had, no CO2, this light, and it grew pretty well. So I feel like this hopefully will be successful. Hopefully these plants can stay alive, so they're not just being wasted. I already did talk to one of my local fish stores, and he's kind of interested in what I have. But him and I don't want to give somebody plants that are just going to die. We want to make sure that they're going to survive, that I'm doing this properly, that the roots are going to start to grow, that I'm putting maybe the right amount of nutrients, you know, to see if, like I said, it's just an experiment. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you guys in the next one.